Hey everybody, what is going on? Heatsoul here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, we are coming back to Mathmech once again. Those of you who have been watching me stream and just probably following the videos in general, because I probably talk about this deck a lot. I've been maining Mathmech lately. Been wanting to get another deck into my wheelhouse of decks I know about as well as Sprite, and I figured Mathmech would be a good candidate, and it turns out I was right to pick Mathmech because we not only have some new support for it in the current selection pack that just came out, but also in the next one we're going to be getting some more Cybers cards that will hugely boost Mathmech. But for the time being, I want to talk about Mathmech with the Spirit package. So, Sakitama is a card that is released recently in the latest selection pack. It is a level 4 light spirit. It is a fairy with 400 attack, 900 defense. It cannot be special summoned, and then during the end phase, if it was normal summoned or flip face up, it returns itself to the hand. This is of course true of every spirit monster. But what is unique about it is that you can only use each of the following effects of Sakitama once per turn. You can reveal this card from your hand, and then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one spirit monster from your hand, and then if this card is tributed, you can target a spirit monster and grave add it to your hand. That's like not, I guess, the most irrelevant thing, because you could, in theory, tribute this for Alembertain and then get a spirit monster in your grave to hand, but more importantly, this is a level 4 extender that doesn't even special summon. It's an additional normal summon, which means it doesn't give your opponent a Maxx draw. That is actually pretty relevant in Mathmech, which is a deck that, as of right now, actually has a bit of a time playing under Maxx. I've had people ask me, what would you consider Mathmech's weakness? Because it seems like it can play through a lot of disruption. Maxx, definitely. Of course, Maxx is a great card, but unlike a lot of other decks, especially in this meta, which can play under Maxx with very minimal special summons, really, unless you open both Circular and Diameter, you're going to have to give your opponent at least 3 draws to set up a Superfactorial, which I don't really think is worth it. Like, you're giving your opponent 3 more draws to get 1 hand rip and 1 negate, and if you take 1 card in the field, like, you're just breaking even, but you're not even really breaking even because you give your opponent more options, which gives them more things to do. So long story short, this is not only good as an extender, but again, helps even address that little bit of weakness. That's, the card that's played in every deck in the meta. So, anyway, the spirits themselves, I think, here's my assessment on them in Mathmech. I think that they are good, but not required by any means. I think as far as the ratios go, if you want to play them in Mathmech, you should play 2 to 3 copies of Sakitama and 0 to 2 copies of Aratama. I actually haven't talked about Aratama yet, so we were playing 1 copy of it in this deck. Aratama is a level 4 Dark Fiend Spirit with 800 attack, 1800 defense. Of course, like Sakitama, it can't be specialed, and it bounces back to the end phase if it was normal to flip face up. Also, if this card is normal summoned or flips face up, you can add a spirit monster from your deck to your hand. So you can, in theory, open this or draw this and then normal summon Aratama, add the Sakitama. Sakitama's effect reveals itself and then specials from hand. And then you get to go into a rank 4, that's a free Alembertain right there, which can grab the Circular. That sounds good, but here's the problem with it. That actually isn't a combo line into Superfactorial by itself. Yes, you get the Alembertain for Circular, but then you're gonna Circular, send a Sigma, special summon the Circular, and then even if you bring Sigma back, it's like you've already made the Alembertain, so for one, the Sigma won't go to the graveyard unless you make another rank 4, which is kind of useless because you won't get an effect. Also, you don't get to search for Diameter if you do it this way. So I'm actually not very up on Aratama. I think moving forward, I'm going to continue to try Sakitama, but I am going to ultimately remove Aratama from my deck because, I don't know, if Aratama, adding Sakitama was a combo line into Superfactorial by itself, I'd be more optimistic about playing it, but it's just not, so I don't really know how much it's actually adding. Yeah, it is a play, but you also still need an extender to even, do things, so I don't think it's that great. But I will say that in other rank 4 decks, this little engine of Sakitama and Aratama is very, very good. And not just for Mathmech, but if your deck plays rank 4 cards, like, in general, and especially if it's a deck that is, like, focused on making rank 4s, that's a core part of the strategy. I'm thinking mostly of, like, Exosister right now. Exosister is another deck that hugely benefits from the addition of these cards into Master Duel. So you can go ahead and feel free to, apply these cards to decks like those as well. But I'm talking about Mathmech specifically when I talk about not only the ratios, but also about the fact that I don't think Aratama is necessarily that good. Just want to make that clear. As far as the rest of the deck, it's a lot of what I've already been doing for this meta, which is, just doing circular things. But in particular, I'm also definitely playing Terahertz, and I'm playing the multiplication for the Terahertz as well. And because we're already playing multiplication, it's like you might as well play the final Sigma. Oh, I have Bagooska in this build, not only because we have like some more rank 4 options, but also this does potentially give you something to do if you get max seed or hit with like a dimension shifter or something. But I am just going to drop it. Like, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be playing Bagooska moving forward. Like, I don't know, it's just never come up. And the problem is, like, it's so specific when exactly this card is actually good. It's like, if you get max seed, if you get shiftered, if you really don't have anything else to do. But it also assumes that you're not cyber slocked, which, Sigma will do to you very easily, which is also often how you're going to be making a rank 4 in the first place. So it's like, how often is Bagooska actually going to even come up? I don't know. I don't think it is, so I think I'm going to take it out moving forward. One thing I have been liking in Mathmech is this little package of just 1 thrust, 1 talent, and then 1 imperm. That might seem like it's kind of inconsistent, but like, these cards are not all cards you want to see all the time. They are kind of situationally useful. And the thrust really is just more copies of the talent and the imperm, as well as potentially, of course, Superfact or Small World or Cynet Mining, whatever happens to be good for you in that situation. But I think that this little package here has been working very well for me. Now, normally I would just play like the third effect failure over the imperm because I am on a Heatsoul deck here, but with the thrust exactly, I just like having the option to set imperm if I need to. And again, these are not all cards that you necessarily want to see a lot, these 3, but I think playing each of them as one of has been working out well for me personally. And of course, cannot talk about Mathmech without talking about the most underrated card in Mathmech, which is Gatchiri Administer. Do not sleep on this card, especially moving forward. I'm absolutely going to be trying 2 copies when the new Cyber Support comes out. Because once the new Cyber Support comes out, you just want to be making Terahertz on turn 1 all the time. And it's like, why would you not want your Terahertz to be unaffected by your opponent's card effects through the end of their turn? It just seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me. So, yeah, I mean, it can be small worlded for sure, but a lot of the time you are using small world for either circular or diameter. Like, I would probably prioritize small worlding diameter even if I already held circular over Gatchiri. So I think in that regard, playing another copy isn't necessarily, like, you might think like, oh, you can just small world for it, why did you even need to play 2? Again, just because you have better small world targets a lot of the time. And also, like, this card is probably one of the best Cyber Extenders you could be playing in Mathmech. Like, aside from maybe some more Mathmech cards, but you just think about Gatchiri, right? Not only does it make whatever it makes unaffected, which is not only relevant for Terahertz, but also, like, making Splash Mage unaffected is sometimes, like, super relevant. But on top of that, like, even if you don't end up using it as a material, it's got 3k defense. It stops your stuff from being destroyed by card effects as well. Each of your Cyber Monsters, the first time they'd be destroyed by a card effect, which can come up and can be very relevant sometimes, so. Alright, I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about this build. So let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll see some gameplay. So, for this build, I'm on 2 Effect Failure, 1 Dotscaper, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, 1 Aratama, 2 Mathmech Sigma, 1 Mathmech Addition, 1 Mathmech Subtraction, 1 Mathmech Multiplication, 2 Mathmech Diameter, 3 Mathmech Circular, 2 Sakitama, 3 Parallel Exceed, 1 Gatchiri Administer, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Cynet Mining, 1 Mathmech Equation, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 3 Small World, 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Mathmech Superfactorial. that is our main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Geomathmech Final Sigma, 1 number 41 Bagooska, the terribly tired Tapir, 1 Primathmech Laplacian, sorry, 2 Primathmech Alembertain, 1 Mereologic Aggregator, 1 Salamangreat Almiraj, 1 Linguriboh, 1 Update Jammer, 1 Splash Mage, 1 Golem Crystal Heart, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Decode Talker Heatsoul, 1 Accesscode Talker, and then 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz. That's going to do it for the list. Let's see some games. Alright, first duel is going to be against Gatchiri. We actually have 3 games against Gatchiri, and then a 4th game against a Bestial deck, so all theoretically bad matchups. Also, this is going to be, even though this is my Season 23 deck profile, the games that you're seeing are actually from the very end of Season 22, literally second to last day of the season. I actually streamed these games, and these were my 4 games leading up to Master 1. So if you want to catch more future streams where I climb on Ranked Ladder, do viewer duels, and more, feel free to check out my Twitch channel, which is linked in the description below. But now that we've got that plug out of the way, I'm going to throw out a Maxx during my opponent's turn here. And they are going to special summon the Ogre, the Gatchiri Ogre. Ogre is going to grab a Preparations, and we get a triple attack. They're going to set 2 cards before passing back over to me. Definitely like to see this. Drawing another Circular is like meh, but at least we have something to discard off Cynet. Circular is going to send the Sigma. Ogre gets to activate. I don't care at all. There's like not really anything they could take here that would be scary or threatening. They take a Addition. Yeah, that's fine. So, gonna Cynet Mining, pitch the Circular for Diameter, and also the Diameter. This will proc the Circular. Also, Diameter is gonna bring back the other Circular that I discarded, just in case they banish, like they have a call by or something, right? I'll get to add the Superfactorial. So, I added the Superfactorial here because I reasoned that between the Parallel Exceed in hand, the Alembertain I was making, the Circular on the field, and the Sigma still in my yard, I had enough gas to have a backup plan instead. I will say that later in the turn, I had kind of wished I'd made Equation, but it's not like it was the end of the world by any means. I didn't need the Equation, it was just like something that would have been a little bit nice, but I think the Superfactorial was the safer search here, and I think in that regards, it was probably the correct one, but you could make an argument either way. Alright, we now have the Omni Negate up on the Alembertain. We'd love to see that. Especially with this Preparation face down, I really just don't want to get hit with a surprise like Unicorn or something, so I'm even going to go so far as to make a Linguriboh as well. This will allow me to go into Parallel Exceed and also threaten a Trap Card Negate. But the thing is, I'm going to have to link it off because I actually didn't have a link line into more plays with the Linguriboh, and the Splash Mage doesn't offer another arrow, so it's like a little bit awkward in that regard. I mean, I had options, but well, the problem is, here's the thing, because, like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe I could have gone into Terahertz, but Terahertz needs to be in the extra monster zone in order for multiplication to double its attack points, and I've used Circular, so I only get to attack with 1 monster this turn. So, in that regard, I can't use Terahertz under Linguriboh, and I don't think I could have made... So, if I had had Equation, this is where Equation comes up, if I had had Equation, I could have made the Update Jammer transcode line under the Linguriboh. That's where it would have been nice, but I mean, this is also wow, I cannot say that word, Jesus. It's all very extra. And we don't really need the Linguriboh to be up to have, you know, game here. So, as you can see, my opponent isn't even trying to activate the Preparations. I don't even know that they have a target for it. Like, they could just be a dead card. Alright, so Update Jammer is going to give the Accesscode a couple of attacks. I want to clear out the back row, which is why I'm going for an Accesscode line. And at the same time, I also want to have the option to still go into a Terahertz line if I need to. Now here they do go for a Scareclaw Gatchiri. This was actually as I was ending the main phase. And normally, if you're going for an Accesscode OTK, you do need to be mindful of Infinite Impermanence when you clear the board. Especially if they have Max Seed, because even if they don't Nibiru you, they can still stop you from winning that turn if they imperm the Accesscode, and then it doesn't have enough attack points in order to go into lethal. But because I still have the Omni Negate up from the Diameter into Alembertain here, I'm not worried about the Infinite Impermanence. Similarly, I'm not worried about the Scareclaw Gatchiri, and I don't need to negate it because I can just continue my main phase after they summon it and then take it with Triple Tactics Talent, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Oh, one last thing. You might be wondering why I didn't go for a 5300 access code while using the Transcode Talker. The reason is that my opponent did have 2 face down cards, and if they had a Call by the Grave, they could use it to banish the Update Jammer, which would stop me from being able to OTK as well. Now, of course, I also have the Alembertain Negate there, but I still wanted to hold on to the Negate for as long as possible and not have to use it if I didn't need to. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and swing in twice for lethal, and there we have it. They do not have any ability to stop us. They only have the 2 cards left, and like I said, we still have the Omni Negate up. So, beautiful. There is that first duel against Gatchiri. Let's go ahead and see the next game here. Okay, so this game is going to be against Bystial Thunder Dragon that's also rocking a Synchron package. So this is the Bystial deck that I mentioned earlier. Again, theoretically a bad matchup for me, and we're going to be going second yet again. And yet again, we did also open Maxx. However, our opponent does have an... Oh, I thought it was Ash Fossil. No, it's Crossout Designator. Either way, they have a response for the Maxx. They have cleared the minigame, and a real game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to occur. So, yeah, as soon as I see Bystial Lubellion here, I remember during stream, I like rolled my eyes, and I was like, oh, here we go, Bystials. But then they activated Tuning, and I perked right up, and I was like, oh, wait a second. I just became much more interested in what my opponent's doing. So, they're going to drop this Magnum Hut by banishing the Lubellion. And then activate the Assault Synchron effect here. They also get the Magnum Hut Search during the end phase, of course, as well. Going for Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. That is going to activate here, revealing Branded Beast, Bystial Saronir, Drew Swarm, Branded Regained, and Bystial Lubellion. So it's funny, they literally revealed 5 Bystial cards. Like, I was kind of floored. I was like, are they just auto Bystial deck? That's like kind of a thing. Like, that deck does exist. It's maybe not the best in, like, this particular meta, but it does exist out there. Of course, now, having looked through the list, I know they're on Thunder Dragons. It's just kind of funny that they didn't see any of their, like, in-engine stuff at all off the Chaos Ruler. So, they get to add a Drew Swarm here, and furthermore, they are going to send the Lubellion. Now, they're sacking the Chaos Ruler off for the Lubellion, which is fine, because they don't have any spell or trap cards to add anymore. And also now they don't have a light monster in the graveyard either. So what they're going to do is they're going to use Assault Synchron to bring back the Chaos Ruler now, which makes sense. I wondered if they were going to overlay for Zombie Vamp, but it turns out instead they are going to link into the Hieratic Seals. We are going Seals Pass with the Saronir and the Drew Swarm in hand. So we do have to be mindful of multiple Bystial monsters. As I casually top deck Circular, don't mind me, I'm just the luckiest player in the world. Although, to be fair, we did also have the 3 Circular, the 3 Cynet Mining, and the 3 Small World. Like, we had 9 cards that we could have top decks to get Circular. But anyway, Circular, okay, so I want to talk about this send, because I sent Mathmech Addition. And that looks really, really weird to send off Circular. But here's why I sent Addition exactly. So, I thought about sending Sigma, but we already have a Sigma in hand, so there's kind of no point. Also, the Sigma in the yard can just get banished by Bystial. So, of course, the next thought is Diameter, because we do actually have the Superfactorial, and there is a world where it could potentially come up. But again, Diameter is just asking to get banished by a Bystial. So now I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to send Multiplication, I need to save that for the Terahertz. So I decided to send either Addition or Subtraction, and I decided to send exactly Subtraction, or exactly Addition, in case I needed Subtraction to lower the attack of an opponent's monster later to OTK. But yeah, I basically wanted to have a fire monster, that way I would have a Mathmech in the yard that I knew for sure I could bring back if I needed to. Opponent is going to use the seals on the Circular. I'm going to chain Maxx, and I'm kind of surprised they don't throw out a Bystial monster here, but they don't, which is totally fine with me. They're going to summon a Salamangreat from deck. I'm going to normal summon the Circular and then Special Sigma to activate the Circular effect. Opponent has a Baldrake that they're bringing out, and remember, they didn't search for this earlier. They grabbed the Salamangreat and the Druid Swarm. The Druid Swarm was the add off the Chaos Ruler. The Salamangreat was the add off the Magnum Hut. So this was also in their hand. So they have 3 Bestial Banishes in hand that we're going to have to fight our way through here. They're summoning the Baldrake. Maxx is going to give me a Cynet Mining draw. I'm going to add a Mathmech Equation off Circular. Thrust will add the Talent. Because here I'm thinking to myself, like, alright, I need to take the Baldrake. I need to get rid of this Baldrake and make it not live in order to make sure that I have plays here. We have the Equation. I'm going to use that on the Addition. Very glad I have that Addition in the yard, by the way. Cynet Mining is coming down here, pitching the Superfact for the Subtraction. Now, here's the thing I also needed to think about, right, is how I'm going to OTK. I don't necessarily want to Accesscode here because I don't want them to just summon a Bestial monster during the battle phase and then I can't win the duel. So I am thinking, okay, Terahertz can battle into an attack mode monster, but the Salamangreat is in defense mode, so maybe I take the Salamangreat and leave the Baldrake, and then that way I can OTK by attacking into the Baldrake. But the problem is they have more Bestials in hand they can summon alongside the Baldrake. So really what I'm doing here is just kind of getting my opponent to do things in general. They do summon the Druid Swarm here, but they summon it in defense mode, which is very good for them. So I'm thinking here, okay, there is actually a way to OTK through defense mode monsters, which a lot of people might not know about. I've actually done this a couple of times before, but that is going to be with G-Golem Crystal Heart. So here's the thing about G-Golem Crystal Heart. If it's co-linked to an Earth monster, then that Earth monster can attack 2 times each battle phase and will also do piercing. Terahertz, if you didn't know, will gain the attribute of whatever it sends from the deck to the graveyard, and also multiplication is Earth. So I do have a line here. The thing is, I need the Firewall and the, what is it called? The G-Golem to be pointing to each other, exactly. So I need to make G-Golem in the extra monster zone, and then have Terahertz point to it. But the problem there is that if I send multiplication, now the Terahertz doesn't have enough damage to actually OTK. So I was really in a pickle trying to figure out how I was going to do this. Well, but here's the thing too. I do 5,500 here, and then 55 minus 2,000 is still enough damage by battling into... I would just have to battle into Salamangreat and then Druid Swarm. So what I'm thinking with the triple attack is, alright, I take the Baldrake and make sure that I can actually do these plays. Also, I can link the Baldrake off for the Transcode. And the reason I'm talking all this out and not actually just showing you this is because my opponent concedes as soon as the triple attack resolves. The funny thing is, I only had like 30 seconds left on the timer during the actual game, and I think I would have been very hard pressed because I was actually still figuring out the line as I only had that little bit of time left. And I don't know that I necessarily would have been able to find it and execute it in such a short amount of time. Just goes to show that, you know, especially when you're this close to Master 1, it really just pays to stick the game out. Just stick it out, make your opponent play it through, make them have it. You never know. You could always get a time limit win. They could disconnect. You just never know what happens in a game of Master Duel. But we still have 2 more games of Master Duel to see. Let's go straight into the next one here. Alright, so we have another game against Gatchiri here. And this one, I actually don't remember if I win the coin flip or not. We'll see. No, I won this one. I did lose a lot of coin flips during that stream, I'm remembering now. So here we have a hand where we do open the Aratama. So we do get to show off a little bit of that line, right? Gonna roll summon Aratama, add the Sakitama, activate Sakitama, revealing itself, and then getting another normal. And then we get to go into the Alembertain. But again, if I didn't have the Sigma and or Small World, I would not have a full line here. Opponent is actually going to Ash Boss in the Alembertain anyway, which is going to prove to be a bit of an issue. Because now what I have to do is I have to... Well, I'm going to use triple attack, actually. And looks like their hand is going to be Ogre, Birth, Ratesoth, and Big Bang. So obviously we're taking the field spell here because Ogre, Birth, Big Bang, that hand actually just does nothing at all by itself. So, I mean, obviously Ogre comes down, but it's like, who really cares about that, right? So, putting back the field spell, we get to activate the Small World here. And because I also have Imperm, I'm a little bit less concerned, right? Like, I was concerned about trying to find and make plays beforehand, but now here's what I'm thinking, right? I can use Circular and activate Sigma, and then I'm going to get the Superfactorial anyway, and what I'm going to do is, even though Sigma is going to end up getting banished, I can still go into a Terahertz here and dump a Diameter into the graveyard. And then during my opponent's draw phase, I'll flip up Superfact. I'm going to make Alembertain with Diameter, and true, it will not be a hand rip like with Laplacian, but it's still non-negate, and it will also provide a follow-up play. So I think this is a fine line, given the circumstance. Alright, here is again the Terahertz. Terahertz F sending the Diameter, setting the 2, and then passing. And again, during my opponent's draw phase, I'm just going to rip this Superfact. But unfortunately for me, they drew Maxx, which might have been one of their best possible top decks, because now they get 2 draws here. For free! Alright, we're going to make the Alembertain, like I said. Sucks that Superfact gives 2 draws, but it is what it is. Alright, gonna add a Circular here. Opponent's moving into the main phase, and they found a Thrust, which is really scary. I have to negate that. There's no shot I ever let a Thrust resolve. I don't know what they were gonna try to get there. I don't want to know. Alright, Ogre's coming down, and Theosis was the other card. Oh my god, Thrust and Theosis. Such good Maxx draws. However, I do get to imperm the Fenrir here, and I still have the Terahertz to send Aggregator to get a negate as well. And here's the thing. I know their hand now. Like, now I know everything. I have complete information. They have Ogre, a negated Fenrir, Birth, and a Big Bang. In order to get any amount of value here, they're going to have to go into a Big Eye. But the thing is, I just get to negate the Big Eye with the Aggregator. And yes, they get to use Birth to bring back the Fenrir, but I just get to move straight into the battle phase with Terahertz and go into the OTK that way, and it doesn't even matter even if they have stuff on the field, right? Okay, so here's Big Eye. Big Eye sending the Aggregator, negating the Big Eye. Or sorry, Terahertz sending the Aggregator, negating the Big Eye. Birth is going to bring back the Fenrir. Oh, they do, however, they do have a line here. They do get to use the Fenrir and battle over the Alembertain, and that will let them turn the Big Eye into a Zeus, because Zeus only cares if an Xyz monster battled. It doesn't care whose Xyz monster battled. And you might be thinking, oh no, Zeus, but this actually doesn't matter at all either, because again, I can just threaten to go into battle phase with the Terahertz, and the Zeus will get negated by the Terahertz once we hit the battle phase. And if they pull the trigger and just use the Zeus beforehand, that's fine. I have Circular, and I can go into an Accesscode OTK. So they literally can't do anything at all to win here. It actually, yeah, just does not matter at all, especially once I have Equation too. So yeah, like I said, I just threaten to move to battle phase. They let it go, I activate, and they realize, oh, I can't activate either Fenrir or Zeus on Terahertz during the battle phase. So there we go. We have that game, and we have one more to check out. Let's go straight into it. Okay, what you are going to see here is my rank up game into Master 1, and it is against Gatchiri. I actually love that we got to see so many games against these decks where I should in theory have pretty bad matchups, but going to be taking the first turn here, and what better way to end off than showing off our new Spirit Monster yet again. We do have that in addition to, I mean, this is like a custom hand right here. This is like actual literal custom going first hand. Well, actually it's not, because you might have noticed we didn't search off of Circular. That's because we have both targets in hand already. If Equation was called by, then this would have been an actual literal custom hand. But they do have an imperm for the Alembertain, but we have so much gas it does not matter even the slightest. What I can do here is I can additional normal summon the Sakitama, and then link it off for Almiraj. Oh, that's the other reason the additional normal and not a special summon is so good for this deck. Because you can still go into the Almiraj, which is of course a Cyberse monster and will enable your plays. So now we can link the Almiraj and Parallel Exceed into Splash Mage, and with the Equation as well in our hand with this setup, we get to end on Heatsoul and Terahertz. And you might be thinking, oh, but Hex, your Superfact isn't set up. You're only going to have the Circular and Sigma, right? Wrong, because we're going to use our Terahertz to dump the Diameter into the graveyard. I do that so often. Like, if your Alembertain gets negated, the terahertz dumping the diameter and setting up the Superfactorial anyway is so good. I see Mathmech lists even now that are not using terahertz, and I can't fathom why. This card is so absurdly good. Oh, and then as a fun little bonus in addition to that, this leftover Parallel Seed is not useless. It actually becomes Linguriboh, and we get a free trap card negate, because why not? So now we're imperm proof as well. Our opponent's going to draw and immediately fire off the Maxx. I'm going to chain the Heatsoul draw. It doesn't really matter when I use that, but I'm absolutely chaining the Superfactorial to the Maxx because I do not want to give my opponent 2 free draws. They do have a call by for the Diameter, but that's fine. I don't really... Like, I don't know. It is a little annoying. Like, it leaves us only 1 negate in the form of Aggregator. But at the same time, now they have only 3 cards in hand, and they still have to play through the Aggregator negate and the terahertz itself as well. We also still get to go for Alembertain anyway, and we get a draw that even ends up being Maxx. So it's like, God, how lucky can you get, honestly? I'm going to Alembertain for Diameter here in case I draw into Circular, and then fire off Maxx in the draw phase, and my opponent's just going to concede. Like, 3 cards left. I have a Trap Negate, I have the Maxx live, I have any Negate, and I have guaranteed follow-up. Like, I don't blame my opponent for conceding. Like, yes, they did stop the Superfact from being, like, fully good. And that's the wild thing about this duel, too. Like, our opponent had the negates for the Alembertain and the Superfact, which, in theory, a lot of people think that either of those is enough to stop Mathmech from doing anything threatening. But that's actually not just true at all. Mathmech is just able to vomit out a lot of ridiculous stuff. And again, once we get the new cyber support in about a week at the time this video comes out, then you can be sure that we're going to see even more absurd things moving forward. But that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end. Let us now move to our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.